Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today we are going to be building a home inspired by the picture I have popped up on the screen. It is a kind of modern castle build is what I would call it, but I was inspired by a bunch of the new things that I was seeing from other creators with the new pack, and I thought, well, I think I can still create a really nice castle home only using things that don't come in the new pack, because I think I have fully decided I'm just not going to be purchasing the new pack or any new expansion packs until something is sorted out with this whole buyout thing. But we're not here to talk politics today, so we're just going to jump right in. You'll see I'm just kind of starting with the framing of the house and trying to come up with the right proportions. Unfortunately, building from a home, even if it's like an AI generated home, the proportions are always going to be weird because we can only build on single tiles. We can't build on half tiles, and diagonal walls are always strange, and you just know that it's never going to turn out exactly the way that you want it. So I wanted to at least have the front facade kind of figured out and then work from there. Also, I don't have a view of the back of this home, so I kind of had to wing it, but I wanted to make sure there was plenty of space to have multiple bedrooms, multiple bathrooms. I wanted it to feel very grand and old-fashioned, but also have some elements of like a modern family living here. Maybe this home has been in the family for a while, maybe it's been handed down between generations, and they kind of just alter the interior design as they see fit, depending on the generation who lives here. I did pull a family from the gallery so that we could play test with them, so you will see those in like the screenshots and the live mode footage. I'll make sure to share that information so that if you want to download that family, or if you want to download this home and the family, all of that will be provided to you, and give credit to the creators that assisted me with that because I am just too busy to be bothered. So sorry about taking so long to finish this build up and get this uploaded. My family has kind of been going through it with a revolving door of illness between children and me and their other side of the family. So it's been a lot, and it has definitely left me feeling very tired, run down. Even when I wasn't feeling ill, I was just very run down from doing so much. So this took me much longer than I wish it had. So thank you for sticking around if you did, and I appreciate you being here today to watch this. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you have not already, and let me know in the comments what other builds you'd like to see coming up, because I'm kind of going through a bunch of different options in my head right now. I did start one recently, which is not done yet, so you'll see that hopefully in the coming week or so if I can get back on track with this. But again, sorry for the late uploads and the very delayed uploads, should I say. Here we have created the turret piece that is in the inspiration image, and then I also think later on I add an additional turret in the back, kind of behind where the chimney is in the back of that little section, because I wanted to kind of make it a little more symmetrical. I wanted to make it match. I don't think there's one in the inspiration image, but again, we just kind of go with what we can do and what's realistic, right? So it doesn't matter. We can have it open to interpretation. Also, the roof was a pain in the butt, so I apologize for all the crazy roofing pieces. Again, that was just... that was a nightmare to figure out. I cut out most of it because it just took me so long. Here's the back of the house, and we do have a lovely railing back here, so there's kind of like an open space back corridor, and I did use a lot of the Castle Estate kit and also a lot of Get Together. I believe I used some Cottage Living here and there, but I pretty much just used any pack. I wasn't trying to restrict at all, so there's probably quite a few packs used in the build of this. I hope that you don't mind, but I was really trying to do my best to recreate the image that I had popped up on the screen as best I could, and also to keep it, making sense. I didn't want it to be too cramped on the inside. I didn't want it to be overly cluttered, but I wanted it to look like a family actually lived here, so had to have that delicate balance mixed in. So I hope that you enjoy it so far. This is the exterior shell, and then we're just going to raise it up on the platform, and over here in the inspiration image they had a little hill that kind of went up to this entryway from the driveway, so try to do my best with terrain manipulation to kind of get that same feel, and I did make sure my Sims could walk up and down this hill. It took a long time just to flatten it and smooth it out so that nobody would get stuck or tell me that they couldn't get up there. But I think eventually I figured it out. And then I think I end up putting some bushes and a little bit of a fence piece over there as well. And when I first started building this, it was when we first got the stair update where we can take away one side of the railing and we can kind of flute out the bottom stairs or flare the top stairs. So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to try to do that here. I had to pull the stairs away first because they were too small, and they wouldn't fit if I had both sides flared out. Only if I had the one side flared out would it work. So that was fun, but I did try my best to make it work and just use it a little bit, because why the heck not? And then on the interior stairs, I also used that same method, but it's like a double grand staircase. I thought it looked really nice. So I hope that you enjoy it. And I'm sorry, my cat just meowed if you heard that. He's just saying hello. He's joining us tonight. He's the peanut gallery over there. I also used this roof tile from Enchanted by Nature up on the roof, and then the trim I believe is from Love Struck, if I remember correctly, or that might also be Enchanted by Nature. I just liked that wood tone for the roof trim. I thought it gave it a little bit of an ethereal feeling of the exterior. I'm not even sure now what the color of the roof was on the inspiration image. I'm pretty sure it was AI generated, so to be fair, it doesn't really matter, but I think it was more of a grayish brown tone. I just wanted it to pop really nicely, and I didn't want it to overtake the castle. I figured if it was black, it would just bring down the tones I was trying to use. So going for this more brown tone I thought would be nice. And the bottom level of the home has more of the worn down castle brick versus the upper level has like the normal kind of tone, so that it would look a little bit different. And then I also used a mixture of these columns from Get Together and also from Castle Estate, and I believe Romantic Garden. I may or may not have used some columns from Romantic Garden stuff as well, because they have like a mossy green kind of aged look to them, and I wanted to really throw that in here. Here you'll see I am replacing the Castle Estate windows with the Life and Death windows, because even though I liked the Castle Estate windows, I thought that the Life and Death ones had the right stone texture and tone on the outside, so I wanted to use those as well. So a little mixture here and there, and then also replacing the door with the one from Life and Death. I think Life and Death and Castle Estate Kit and Get Together, all three of those together really made a big difference to use on the exterior of the home and getting this feeling across of like a regal castle home that's been passed down through the generations. I think that it just worked out really nicely. So if you're planning on a similar build, highly recommend those packs and kits. But out here in the front, we have made our little front porch, just adding the columns and spandrels to match, finishing up with the windows. And then I believe I jump over here to the little side deck area. There's like an upper level side deck, and I also wanted to make a sunroom for plants and stuff over here, so I added another roof piece, and I just made it the glass roof piece from Life and Death, deleted the roofing part of that so that you could see down below and get the sunroom effect, and I think that looks really nice. And then I fixed the roof in a little bit. I think I do that off camera, so you don't have to be bothered with me fiddling around with little tiny roof pieces, which really aggravated me. I really did not enjoy that part, so I don't want you to have to sit through that either. And then just adding another little sunroof over here too, because I figure a nice little spot on the outside that's shielded from the weather would be nice. And the turret, I did not furnish. It is just like a big open space in the ceiling. I deleted the floor on both of the floors of that turret, so you can just look straight up and then see all of the windows, letting in a bunch of natural light just in the middle of the upstairs hallway. I was going to try to make it into something useful, but the space up there was just too small, and I don't know how I would have made it functional, and also for you to be able to see it even with the walls up or half down. It wasn't working for me. So the back turret, though, that does have a little secret spot upstairs, because I think that the mother of this household really enjoys jewelry making. I gave her a little gemology table up there, so that's like her little secret attic space to work on jewelry making and crystal crafting and stuff. So I thought that was a nice little touch. Also adding these very large windows from Life and Death, and that is framing the entire sunroom, because I just thought they looked kind of old and worn down. They kind of fit the vibe for what we were going for here. More spandrels and columns. So many spandrels and columns. I think I also end up making a lower back deck as well, but I think that comes around the time I put the stairs in on the inside. And here I'm just kind of playing around with a little bit of ivy on the outside, but I'll come back to the exterior later on because I just added so much, and if I sat here and went through all of the exterior landscaping, it would take me forever. I did use some very large bushes and some flowers, especially the foxglove flower that came with the cottage living debug. Kind of threw that in wherever I saw fit because it just looks really, really pretty and nice. Also, this big tree over here, and then I repeated a bunch of these large bushes on the outside. I think I even doubled up on them and used tool mod to make them fit better because I wanted them to kind of frame the walkway up to like what I'm going to call the conservatory. It ends up having music and easels, and it's just a very nice little sitting area for everybody to hang out while they're doing art, or where they're, playing the piano, or if they have a violin, they can pull out their violin and play it in there. I think the acoustics in that room are optimal. So that is what that room is for. Maybe at one point it was a garage, but now it is a conservatory for playing music and making art. That is the whole point of that room. And then I also wanted to make sure there was a little bit of fencing and a stairway. So I just kind of copied the same stairs that I had before. I had to make a little platform at first because there just wasn't enough room, and there was like weird block cluster errors popping up, but I added these stairs, and then I ended up moving them in a little bit. And I think that is pretty much it for that side, except for some more bushes. And I think I added some terrain paint as well so that it all blends together really nicely and makes sense. I'm not sure if I do the terrain paint on camera or not, because I also thought that I cut out most of this landscaping, and that kind of makes me a liar. My bad. It's been many, many weeks at this point from when I was working on this to now recording the voiceover. And my voice is still a little bit scratchy from all of the illness that has been going through this home. So I apologize for that if my voice sounds extra harsh. Again, just doing the best I can. But here is our very grand staircase in here. It is extremely dark, so sorry about that. Eventually I add some lights in here, but I wanted a nice big grand double staircase with a doorway, archway in between the two, and then up at the top floor I wanted to make sure there was like kind of a mezzanine level overlooking it. But I knew that if I just made a big mezzanine level, it would be a pain in the butt for your Sims to get around here. So instead, I ended up extending part of the mezzanine level to kind of cut across like a bridge. That way your Sims can get all across the upstairs and they don't have to go completely around the staircase up at the top. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense? I didn't think that it would be smart for me to just leave that one big open space. I wanted to make sure that your Sims could route easier around there, because I don't want them to get stuck, and I don't want you to be wondering where your Sims are when you've asked them to come downstairs from upstairs. All that annoying little glitchy Sims 4 things that we hate. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And then we added some more archways in the conservatory. This is a little view of the kitchen. I pulled out these counters from Life and Death, obviously, and I hadn't decided on what color I wanted to use, so I kind of went back and forth between the brown and the black. But the fridge is base game, the stove is base game, and then I end up pulling out the sink that matches from Life and Death as well. And I put it in the middle part where that original counter is so that it would kind of be framed by the corner pieces. There's also a very large window in the kitchen, and I thought it would be perfect to add a butler's pantry into this home as well. So they have a butler's pantry and also a large dining room, and I think that works out. At first I pulled out this archway from Realm of Magic, but I believe I end up changing it later on to maybe paranormal stuff archway. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on it, but you'll see it later on. Right now, though, I'm just going to throw in some appliances. So we have an additional dishwasher in the butler's pantry and also a sink. I think I throw in the coffee maker and a stand mixer and the blender. I forget what else. Did I do anything else? Okay, I did pull out the kettle, but I put the tea set out in the kitchen area. The kettle goes in the butler's pantry along with the pressure cooker and the blender and all the little appliances. So they keep everything nice and hidden away and organized. And honestly, there are enough bedrooms in this home. If you wanted your Sims to have a butler, they totally could do that because they have an extra room outside of the one that they need. It can either be a guest room or a butler's room, and that's totally fine. There's an ensuite bathroom for the additional bedroom. So that is also a good thing. Upstairs is very open and spacious, so really you could adjust it however you wish. But here's the dining room as well coming together. I picked out this very large table. I think it's just base game. And then the chairs are from Life and Death. And over here in the hallway, we're exchanging those doorways now. And I did use the ones from Strangerville, not from Paranormal Stuff. Why did I say Paranormal Stuff? Anyway, sorry about that. We're going back to the butler's pantry because I didn't know what I wanted to do with the cabinets in here, and I was just very indecisive. Eventually that all comes together, and you will see that later on when we get to the cluttering of the rooms. Right now, we are just figuring out where everything goes. Here's the little back deck that I ended up creating because I wanted to make sure there was a doorway between the stairs. Over here, just a nice little sitting area. I think eventually I put some benches out there. It's just like a little sitting spot, but you could put anything you want out there. You could put an additional chess table, you could put a telescope or another easel. Your Sims could just go out there and knit or crochet, however, whatever you want them to do out there. There's plenty of space. It's nice and open. I didn't have a lot of space for kids stuff, so if you wanted to throw extra toys out there as well for kids to play with, totally can do that. But I tried to keep it pretty open to interpretation because really it depends on how you want to play your game. Over here where I'm placing these bookshelves that came with the Bella Goth kit, the Secret Sanctuary or something, I forget what that kit is called, but we know what the Bella Goth kit means. I put those bookshelves and a very long couch and also the record player. This ends up being kind of like an office or a reading room kind of situation. So there's no TV in this room. It's just bookshelves, the couch, and the record player, a little coffee table, a rug, and I do end up putting some clutter up on those shelves, but I didn't do that till the very end, so I didn't catch that on my recordings. I kind of realized when I went to take screenshots that there was nothing on those shelves, and it just looked kind of silly. So you'll see that later on. Over here in the conservatory, though, we are going to be adding our large grand piano and some of these new easels that came with the most recent event, the login event that just happened. If you did not get those items, these can easily be replaced with any of the other easels that we have in the game, so no worries there. And then we have a very large door going to the rest of the home. I put those portraits up on the wall on either side of the door because I thought they looked really nice and regal. And then on the windows, we placed just these base game green curtains because I thought they just looked really nice. And then I kind of took that green and picked that as like the only color for the room. All of the other wallpaper is just the same stonework from the outside. Lots of candelabras, the big chandeliers on the ceiling, and of course the knight in shining armor and just some flowers in a big vase. I thought that was nice. And I think I add a couch here too, right underneath where those portraits are. Kind of give a little reading area or doing homework area, sitting area to observe the painting or the music playing, whatever have you. And also some of the wall lights from Life and Death so that you can see on your way into the door. Now over here, I did start decorating and then kind of jumped into the recording, but this is the only TV room in the whole home. So it's very small, but I feel like they don't really value watching TV that much. It's just kind of like an every now and then activity when they have movie nights. So I did use the same kit, the Bella Goth kit for the fireplace, and then the couch is from Desert Luxe, I believe. Over here in the bathroom, we use some of the sleek bathroom kit stuff, which is really nice because I haven't really gotten a chance to mess around with that too much. We'll see more of that in a little bit, but it's just a basic bathroom, nothing too crazy. I also put a lot of this base game wood paneling on the walls. It might be base game, it might be, it could be from Vampires. I'm not 100% sure, but I know in the kitchen, the tile on the walls is from base game because I wanted to make sure I kept a lot of base game in here. And then we saw some wallpaper in the little sitting room, the reading room, again, just base game. Over here in the dining room, we have these big base game curtains going in. And then I tried to decide on some clutter and also some wallpaper. I believe this one is from the Grange Mudroom kit. And I just love the greens, so I just kept that in here. I thought it looked so pretty. A lovely little piece of art on the wall. And then I kind of scooted this hutch into the wall a little bit. This one I believe is from Life and Death, and I added a bunch of different clutter. There's like some liquor bottles and a wine bottle. That is their display cabinet for their family heirlooms. On the table, we have a lovely candelabra and just a little tiny vase of roses, and then a big tree over in the corner, and I forget what that is from. I think it's from like the Riviera Retreat kit. Also that little corner shelf, which is base game, and then over here in our butler's pantry, we have finished it up with just the ceiling light from Cottage Living and a different Cottage Living ceiling light in the kitchen. I had to make sure there was enough lighting in here, so I used mostly these lights that I think came with Growing Together. together. I know that they're a little bit modern, but I thought that they fit nicely and they give off a good amount of light. So thought that was the most important thing. Also framing the stairs with these big bouquets of flowers in the vases on top of those end tables from Get Together. And then we have another bathroom in here with a lot of the sleek bathroom kit because I wanted there to be plenty of bathrooms in this house for everybody to use. And I used the stand-up shower, kind of made our own little shower enclosure there off to the side. And I really wanted to use a lot of these like big, grand, golden toned things in the bathroom. Also, I haven't used this big block piece yet, but I tried to use it as like a little end table almost for some towels and some little extra knickknacks like the plant. I really enjoyed that plant. I'm going to be using it quite a bit, I have a feeling. Out here we have a little fountain and some benches and another little tree for outside. And then I also throw in some more clutter in the kitchen, some utensils and a little basket of like vegetables and herbs, which I think came with the garden to table kit, which is one of the last ones that I bought before I realized the whole debacle with the EA sale. Don't even get me started. But I did buy that. That is one thing I bought, and I was not happy about myself after that, but it's okay. I figure I'll use it now because I have it, but that's okay. You know, we all make mistakes. So we are here up in the parents' bedroom. This is going to be the parents' bedroom. They have a beautiful bed from Life and Death and also the end tables and dresser. And I kind of tried to clutter up the room just enough, but I didn't want to clutter it too much because it is already a little squishy. Here's the final product. We have some paintings going up on the wall from University and also Life and Death. And you'll see that ladder in the corner that goes up to the secret crystal room. So we'll get to that later on. Over here is either the guest room or the butler's room or what have you. I just tried to keep a very easy kind of color tone. So the bed is blue and then the walls are like this tan kind of wainscoting wallpaper, and I think that one came with Life and Death as well. I tried to get a matching couch or love seat for in here, and I added these new pillows that came with, I think, the Modern Luxe kit, and I used Tool Mod to kind of angle them so it looks like they're sitting on the couch very nicely. And then up here in the upper level we have another sitting area and a bookshelf because you need more places to read, I guess. I don't know, just did not know what to put there. So more couches it is, and some more benches outside here. And then I thought this wisteria would look really nice over here above this door. So I added a bunch of that, and that came with Cottage Living. I thought it looked really nice, kind of framed the upper level a little bit. And when I do end up adding more ivy to the outside of the home, it all blends together quite nicely. In here is the child's room, and yes, that bed is a toddler bed, and no, I did not realize it was a toddler bed when I placed it, so that will be going away. By the time you see the screenshots, I have to switch it out for a different bed in a similar tone, because I wanted to keep this dark, moody blue color, but you will see that later on, so sorry about that. And then over here we have the actual office with a computer and some more bookshelves, obviously, some more paintings up on the wall. It's very classic, it's very simple, but I think it looks really pretty. And I also pull out this pretty red chair from Paranormal Stuff and the end table from Crystal Creations for the little tiny lamp, and I think also a little flower bouquet just because I thought it looked nice. Maybe a notebook as well, if I'm remembering correctly. I think I put a notebook on this table, the Life and Death notebook. Yes, okay, that is correct. And then up here for the last room in the house, we have the Crystal Creations room. It is just all the Crystal Creations stuff that I could jam-packed into this room, including the posters, because I think Mom is really into that kind of thing, but she doesn't want all of this junk out in the main area of the home. So she keeps it hidden up in her secret attic. And here is some live mode footage. We are listening to some piano. We're watching Dad paint a painting, and the daughter is doing her homework, which is very nice. Mom is up here making some jewelry in her secret attic in her lovely gown. I don't know why I didn't change her into something else, but you know what? You do you. You can craft in whatever you want. And then everybody has sat down to have a grand ham dinner, and I think that is just the cutest thing. I love this dining room. I think it's very regal and grand and beautiful. So I hope that you think so too. And if you do, please be sure to like and subscribe. And again, let me know in the comments if there's anything you want to see coming up, any builds or any other things, community lots, residential lots, doesn't matter. Just let me know, because I'm looking for all the ideas, trying to work through my little stockpile of images that I have so that I can find something that inspires me. But this is the home. It is in Windenburg. It is very expensive and it's beautiful, and I just love it. I think it turned out really, really nice. So I hope that you agree. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I will see you guys for the next one. All right, bye.